Uncle Claude here, and I know that I'm slightly late with this because this has been going on for a while, but as you know, I've been very busy with a lot of things, but I'm going to get right to it because this is actually a lot bigger than Brian Flores. I mean, the fact of the matter is there's only one black head coach currently in the NFL right now, and ironically, he's my team's head coach, this Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin, who has yet to have a losing season. And I've always argued that his first losing season would be his last losing season because they would fire him on the spot. In fact, a lot of so-called Steeler fans have really treated Coach Tomlin like crap, in my opinion. But that's another chapter, another book, and I will be doing another video on that. But according to ESPN, Brian Flores has sued the NFL and three teams, the Miami Dolphins, the Denver Broncos, and the New York Giants, alleging discrimination regarding his interview process with Denver and New York and his firing last month in Miami. The 58-page lawsuit was filed in Manhattan federal court Tuesday and seeks class action status. Flores alleged that Dolphins owner Stephen Ross attempted to incentivize him to tank games or purposely lose games shortly after he was hired in 2019, with Ross allegedly offering Flores $100,000 for every loss that season. Flores says that as the team won games late in the season, Dolphins general manager Chris Greer told him Ross was mad at the on-field success and was compromising the team's draft position. Additionally, Flores alleges that Ross pressured him into recruiting a, quote, prominent quarterback, end quote, at the end of the 2019 season, which the coach refused so as not to violate the NFL's tampering rules. Ross then allegedly invited Flores onto a yacht for lunch in the winter of 2020, where he informed him that the quarterback was, quote, conveniently, unquote, arriving at the marina for an impromptu meeting. Flores refused the meeting and left the yacht. Afterward, Flores alleges that he was, quote, treated with disdain and held out as someone who was non-compliant and difficult to work with, unquote. He was fired on January 10th despite recording the Dolphins' first back-to-back winning seasons since 2003. He was 10-6 in 2020, and last year he was 9-8. Unfortunately, he did not make the playoffs in either of those winning seasons. Flores also alleged that the Giants interviewed him last month for their head coaching vacancy for no other reason than compliance with the NFL's Rooney Rule, which requires teams to interview minority candidates for their open positions. The league has amended that rule in recent years and now says teams must hold an in-person interview with at least one minority candidate for any general manager or head coach opening. Flores alleged that he spoke with the Giants via Zoom on January 18th prior to the team hiring former Buffalo Bills assistant general manager Joe Schoen as its GM on January 23rd. He said that the next day Schoen finalized his interview date for January 27th, and Giants co-director of player personnel Tim McDonald texted Flores saying that he would come in and win the effing job, saying that he hoped he would come in and win the job. However, hours later, Flores' lawsuit alleges that he received a series of text messages from Patriots coach Bill Belichick, under whom Flores worked 10 years in New England. In those texts, Belichick told Flores he had heard from the Buffalo and New York Giants that he was their guy. Flores asked Belichick to clarify whether he meant to talk to him or Brian Daboll, who was also in the running for the Giants' job. Belichick acknowledged his error and informed him that the Giants wanted Dable. Dable, by the way, has zero head coaching experience. Sorry, I effed this up. I double checked and misread the text. I think they are naming Brian Dable. I am sorry about that, Belichick allegedly texted. Flores alleges that his January 27th interview with the Giants, which satisfied the Rooney Rule because he was the first minority candidate to interview in person, was a sham. New York hired Dable, the former Bills offensive coordinator, a day later. Flores alleges that in a similar scenario, a similar scenario occurred when he interviewed with the Broncos for the head coaching job in 2019. Flores said that then Denver general manager John Elway, among others, arrived to the interview an hour late and hungover, alleging that they had been drinking heavily the night before. The Giants, Dolphins, and Broncos responded separately to the allegations on Tuesday. The Giants said that they were pleased and confident with their hiring process. We interviewed an impressive and diverse group of candidates, the team said. The fact of the matter is, Brian Flores was in the conversation to be our head coach until the 11th hour. Ultimately, we hired the individual we felt was most qualified to be our next head coach. Now, to give you some background on this, on the Giants' hiring of quote-unquote minority head coaches, they did have a black GM, Jerry Reese, back in the day. In fact, the Giants won 2 Super Bowls under Jerry Reese's stewardship as general manager. The head coach at that time was Tom Coughlin. Now, ever since, the Giants have, let's face it, anybody who's followed the Giants knows that they have been dreadful over the last few seasons without Jerry Reese. In fact, as you see, they just hired 2 new people to be their GM and head coaches. The Giants have yet to have a black quarterback as their starter. But that's another chapter in another book. The Miami Dolphins, who let go of Flores, excuse me just a moment. The team who let go of Flores, the Miami Dolphins, vehemently denied the allegations against them while noting that they are proud of the diversity and inclusion throughout their organization. The implication that we acted in a manner inconsistent with the integrity of the game is incorrect, the team said. And the Broncos detailed their January 5th, 2019 interview with Flores, saying that it started promptly at 7:30 a.m. in Providence, Rhode Island, lasted 3.5 hours, and was conducted with 5 team executives. Pages of detailed notes, analysis, and evaluations from our interview demonstrate the depth of our conversation and sincere interest in Mr. Flores as a head coaching candidate, the team said. Our process was thorough and fair to determine the most qualified candidate for our head coaching position. The Broncos will vigorously defend the integrity and values of our organization and its employees from such baseless and disparaging claims. Now, Denver ultimately hired Vic Fangio, who was just fired, by the way, for the position. Now, a lot of people are going to look at this and say that Brian Flores is committing career suicide. But as he said that would be fine with him as long as there is equity and this opens the door for other people. Now, in the lawsuit, which was brought on by Wigner Law LLP, that is the firm that is representing Flores. Now, he says the coach hopes to shine a light on the racial injustices that take place in the NFL. Among the areas Flores said that he would like to see addressed are increased influence of black individuals in hiring, increase the objectivity of hiring and terminating GMs, head coaches, and coordinators, increase the number of black coordinators, incentivize hiring, retention of black GMs, head coaches and coordinators, transparency of pay for GMs, head coaches, and coordinators. The lawsuit seeks unspecified damages from the NFL, which calls the claims, quote, without merit, unquote, on Tuesday. The NFL and our clubs are deeply committed to ensuring equitable employment practices and continue to make progress in providing equitable opportunities throughout the organizations, the league said in a statement. Diversity is core to everything we do, and there are few issues on which our clubs and our internal leadership team spend more time. We will defend against these claims which are without merit, unquote. Flores, who turns 41, has been tied to head coaching vacancies with the Houston Texans and the New Orleans Saints since his firing by the Dolphins. New Orleans interviewed him on Tuesday for their head coaching vacancy, according to ESPN's Mike Triplett. God has gifted me with a special talent to coach the game of football, but the need for change is bigger than my personal goals, Flores said in a statement put out by the Winter firm. In making the decision to file the class action complaint today, I understand that I may be risking coaching the game that I love that has done so much for my family and me. My sincere hope is that by standing up against systemic racism in the NFL, others will join me to ensure that positive change is made for generations to come. Now, Douglas Wigner, a lawyer for Flores, told the New York Times that Wigner Law LLP is looking into allegations from other coaches who would be part of the class action lawsuit. In fact, Hugh Jackson, I believe, might be one of those. He noted that Flores reached out to the firm on the same day that he received the Belichick text messages. I mean, this is, and let's face it, let me reiterate the fact that Mike Tomlin is the only black head coach in the NFL, and he was hired in part because of the Rooney Rule. Well, not because of the Rooney Rule, but that's how he got his interview, was through the Rooney Rule, which obviously dealt with the Rooney family who owns the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, again, as I mentioned, it's bigger than Mr. Flores. I mean, when you look at guys like Lovie Smith, who actually went to a Super Bowl, has not coached in the NFL since he got fired by the Chicago Bears, and you look at how much of a mess the Chicago Bears franchise has been. You look at the guys who were basically set up to fail, like a Hugh Jackson in Cleveland. When you look at David Culley in Houston, those guys come to mind. Jacksonville just hired Doug Peterson as head coach when it looked like that a guy who used to play for the Jacksonville Jaguars and in fact was their starting quarterback at one time, Byron Leftwich, was supposed to be the front runner for that. But he actually pulled himself from that job because he felt that he was not going to be given the tools to succeed the way he was interviewed by the GM, Tom Balky. And Mr. Balky has been very confrontational. If you look at his past, he is the reason that Jim Harbaugh is no longer the coach of the San Francisco 49ers. So here we are with this precedent once again when it comes to black head coaches. And as we know, Eric Bieniemy has long been linked to be maybe a head coach down the line. But as of right now, Eric Bieniemy, I don't think has even had an interview with any of the vacancies in the NFL. And also look at a guy like Jim Caldwell, who we thought was going to be the coach of the Detroit Lions. But that hasn't come to fruition as well. Look at Detroit ever since Jim Caldwell was fired from there. And they talk about he didn't live up to the standards. Are you serious? So I guess your standards are 3-13. Absolutely great. Where Jim Caldwell, at worst, was 7-9. But there's always a double standard when it comes to dealing with our people, no matter what the arena is. I mean, when you look at certain head coaches. I mean, a guy who just passed away, Dan Reeves, was able to be a head coach for so many different teams: the Denver Broncos, the New York Giants, the Atlanta Falcons. Now, he did go to a couple of Super Bowls. He got blown out in all of them, but he was able to get head coaching jobs. Lovie Smith lost one Super Bowl. The only head coaching job that he had was as a head coach for the University of Illinois, and he's no longer there. Now he's a defensive coordinator. It is an absolute disgrace what happens to the black head coach or the black defensive or offensive coordinator. But this is only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to racism being rife in the NFL. We know the percentage of 70% of the workforce, meaning the players, are black. But unfortunately, just one black head coach, no black GMs, and of course, the more glaring number, no black NFL owners. But I wish I could say that there would be some real justice that'll be done, but more than likely they'll probably settle out of court. I don't know if Mr. Flores will get another job, but he's hoping yet again that this will open the door for somebody else. Unfortunately, looking at the NFL's legacy, I have to be pessimistic at best. Uncle Claude signing out, ladies and gentlemen. Please make sure to subscribe, like, and share. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their day. Please take care, stay safe, and God bless.